Good morning. You're welcome to another Thursday morning episode of Reality Check. I'm standing in, honored to stand in for Rachel Mwine. I think she traveled with her lover boy, Mr. Mwine. Those two. With me, of course, is the great Dr. Ivas Atwine, the psychologist, the one who guides us, the one who gives us that reality check. For this topic, we knew that Mr. Javira Fred, some of you know him as Chaka, Namlyango OB. He once chaired the Namlyango Old Boys Association. He's our guest for today. You're warmly welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Privileged to be here.
This conversation is going to be a great one because we're handling difficult conversations in marriage, maybe in relationships, not just marriage.
Relationships and marriage. Yes.
And marriage, those difficult ones. My name is Beverly Namboze Nsengiyumva, always honored to be called back. I'm a poet, an author, and I'm here to learn. If you see me, my mouth is wide open. It's because I'm learning. Mm-hmm. Some of these things are shocking, but we have to go through them. And here, difficult conversations. I'll start by opening it up. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic.
Yes.
Privileged to be here. Thank you very much for having me once again.
Great.
Yes.
Describe fantastic.
Oh, how much time do you have?
I like that.
And I'm not too sure I want to attempt that dealing with a poet like you and the kind of poetic language that you'd use. But no, I'm great. I am thankful. I am happy. I'm healthy. Good. There is definitely a lot more for me to give thanks to God for than to complain about.
That's good to know.
It's a beautiful weather out there on a Monday morning, which presents a great opportunity for new beginnings and an opportunity to add value.
That's so good to know.
Yes.
And Dr. Ivas, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic as well. And because I've learned to value small things, what we call small things, that I can see the sun in the morning, that's not small thing. It's actually the most important things that I can move about unaided. You know, I go anywhere I want to go, that I can have an opportunity to minister to people. For me, it's fantastic. And it's Monday. So I started very well. And I think I've also been sharing that we need to focus on our first 5 minutes of the day. So I started it so well with praise and the word, and I feel so good.
A heart of gratitude is what making you look young and energetic. I can see.
I do.
You have a heart filled with gratitude. That's
Thank
great.
you.
When you mention the small things, that is a great way to enter our conversation today. Because when we say difficult conversations in relationships or marriage, it didn't just become difficult. It started by the small things. What are those small things that lead to this moment when you need to have a difficult conversation in your marriage or relationships? What are those small things?
Well, we have a culture on this show to begin with the guests. That's a decent way to shift the conversation to
reframe it. What are those small things? And I think I like the way you said, when you say, I'm grateful to God for the small things, they're not really small things, and those were your words. And so when it comes to relationship, marriage, and all of those things, they're not small things. The things you consider small can actually turn out to be big. You've had people argue over things like toothpastes, yeah? You've had, how you press and all of those things. You've had, now, it may appear small. Is it small? Yes, it is small. But if you then can't learn how to deal with, talk through about your discomfort with the way you press toothpaste, with the way you leave the table, with the things that seem small, you will not be able to deal with the things you consider big.
Yes. I like that.
Be they financial, whatever it is. So it's all about the comfort around those small, what you consider small things left undone ultimately get to bigger things.
Bigger things.
You actually I'm reminded of the words of Mother Teresa, who said, there are no big things in this world. It's just small things done with great love.
Ooh,
Yeah. So,
good. Hey, you're a counselor. I'm sure you've encountered so many episodes. What are some of the small things you realized lead to huge things that could have been stopped before they became catastrophic?
I think, as Fred has said, accumulation of unresolved small things. But also, I think from my part, I would want to cushion this with an understanding of psychology. Where does this come from? Because I met so many people. I shared on this show that about 8 out of every 10 couples that come to me, of course, we have the adultery, but you always hear we can't talk. We cannot talk. Now, that means that people can't have difficult conversations. So they are okay to have the cliche kind of things. And they are okay when they are discussing weather and other things and politics and maybe. Of course, I also hear those who say, we have nothing to talk about. I say, you have nothing to talk about? In this world full of so many things happening, you have nothing to talk? Wait a minute. Now, so let me come back to we can't talk. It always points to the fact that people can't have conversations that are deep. So let me just start it off here. We have 3 levels of conversation. So we have the cliche, which we call taxi conversation. You know, when you meet someone in a taxi, sit next to them and you have to do the human thing of saying hello. Yes. So that's taxi, cliche. Just to show that you are alive. Yeah? But there are couples who can't afford that either.
Mm-hmm. They're
right?
so fixed on their own world.
Yeah, there are those who even they greet and they can't answer.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I call it picture, no sound.
Yeah. Picture, no sound.
There are moments you find picture, no sound moments in the home.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like the remote, the thing you can see each other, but you...
Yeah.
So that's what it is. Now, the high, that's level 1. So basic. But just imagine you run a marriage or a relationship on that level. The second one is logistical. Logistical is very common. We have no bread, water is finished, yaka is done, practical things, my fuel, the car has no fuel, have you picked the children? Logistical, right? Nothing deep or that. And I want to tell you that most marriages operate at that level, right? Now, beyond that, people are saying, I'm in trouble, we can't discuss this. I'm seeing this, but we can't. Where are the finances going? Your schedule is becoming, I'm uncomfortable. They can't. They're saying, let's just stop here. So that's why they can't get into difficult conversations. And I'll give you different reasons. Number 1, accumulated unresolved small issues. Because there's no one dating, or and if I'm to talk about marriage, there's no one dating that is going to accept you or to marry you based on sugar, fuel. You don't say, oh, I have sugar, or I have a car has fuel, and they say, I love you. No. That's not where we start. Where do we start? I love you, I appreciate you, you look beautiful, babe, look at you, I can't wait to live with you. That's where we start. Is it the passion, the desire, I desire you, I accept you. That's at emotional level. Right? Now, a relationship to be alive has to keep operating at that level. At a point when we are connecting, of course, that's where human connection is. That's why I was telling you, I give it a psychological background. So that's where it is. And every relationship requires that level of energy and feelings. So that's where, when we have that, when we connect at that level, we share energy. You see, we exchange energy. And so the third level that we desire, therefore, for good, healthy communication, drinking water in your relationship, is what we call the emotional. Now, the emotional, of course, Fred and his brothers keep saying they are not emotional, they have no emotions.
Who are these brothers of yours?
We'll get to
You need new
She's
brothers.
talking about my race.
This gender.
This gender.
So they keep saying they have no emotions. So I always try to break it down for them. So emotion is about feelings. So we all feel happy, angry, anxious, scared, insecure, and all that. Now, that's at the level the relationship is supposed to operate, right? Because that's where it started. I love you, I feel you, I want to be with you. Oh my God. Now, when we kill that, then we go to logistical, and then we are comfortable. That's where you hear
everything is running.
Oh yeah. That's why you hear people are so comfortable saying, "Oh, am I not paying the bills? Am I not paying school fees? What do you want? Don't I do TV subscription? TV subscription, TV subscription. What do you want? Watch movies." But someone didn't marry you for you to pay fees at the functional level. And so now, at that emotional level, that's where we are supposed to connect and have conversations of, I feel we are disconnected. I feel we are no longer, I really want to spend time with you. Can we talk about this? Now, why don't people go there? Several reasons. Number one, trauma. So if someone has grown up traumatized with pain, they are hoping you don't bring up a conversation that is going to make their pain more. So they are guarded. They have this. So don't come. Let's keep operating at logistical level. Let's not peel that onion. So they just keep saying, not one person. And by the way, if I could emphasize this, some of us who are experiencing such a situation, it's not about you, it's about what they experienced. And if they have not resolved it, it's likely to block any connection, any conversation that points to that direction. So most of the time, of course, when you're in a relationship with this person, married to them, then you keep saying, what have I done? Why does he reject or why does she reject? Why does she resent me? She's hoping, she's protecting their soul, or he's protecting their soul, because they are hoping no one else sees deep there and causes more pain, trauma. Okay? Number two, upbringing. There are people, and I think you've seen that we've talked about children who have been battered, told to shut up, and all that. Now, when they grow up and get married, they're not going to engage in deep conversations because they were told, shut up, don't talk, do your homework. What are you asking? When they, especially when they are children of what we call authoritarian parents. Orders, order ni moja. They just take orders and instructions, and that's all. So when you're married to them and you want to engage and say, let's talk, what is this? I don't understand this. Can I hear the... They don't get you. They don't. They won't go there. They won't. You see? So that's it. But also personality. And again, we've run a session, a whole episode on different personalities in marriage. And I tried to help people understand how this, because most of the time we do personality assessment. I always ask people, do you know your person? Yeah, I'm sunshine, but we don't take it to a level where it informs the way we conduct our day-to-day business, daily relationships, daily operations. And so when it comes to conversations, there are people who are quiet, they say a few words, they But they also, for instance, we have a personality called melancholies. Melancholic people come from the perfect world. They approach life looking for perfection. Now, when they, of course, life is not perfect, it's messy. Now, whenever they hit a snag, they shut down because they judge themselves so harsh. They think I shouldn't have done this. And now when they hear you come and talk about the deep, right? Let's just open up this. What has happened? Where the finances? I feel they're just going to shut you out. Yeah. So already they are judging themselves. So what are you saying? You want to come in, they failed. Now you want to remind me that I failed. So we have that personality that is going to lock you out. They are not going to engage in hard conversations. And so they just keep processing things from their heads.
I know what that's like because I have a bit of that. And it came from, as a child, I was perfect the way I was socialized to be. In other words, school, primary, I was the head girl. Always first when it came to running. Don't look at me now. I
haven't said anything.
Couple of parents, OGs and OBs. I was an excellent runner. You remember that? Always the first in English, maths. And when you're good at English and maths, you will excel.
Yeah.
Science becomes easy and then you're confident and you're the head girl. I was perfect.
Yeah.
And therefore, my order was destroyed when secondary school reality hit, because you go to a school where every girl there is perfect. They were also head girls and excellent. And oh my goodness, I'm no longer perfect.
Yeah.
And then also the way of school in secondary is different because then you're doing housework and so many other activities.
Yeah.
You are grown, raised to be a wholesome person, and you realize I'm not perfect here. My housework is not as perfect as it should be. Oh my goodness, I'm not. And then that is destroyed, and then you have to navigate that. The society or education, we've talked about education quite a bit, but also parenting. Parenting has made perfection in children impossible to achieve. And it's highly improbable a child who has been raised like that to then understand life in its diversity. They'll be like, this is not happening. And then when you don't go to your school of the first choice, again, life is shattered. I was meant to be. And yet life is beautiful in its diversity. So beautiful that we have to understand perfection is not the way you see it. Perfection is beauty.
That's true.
Beautiful in its diversity.
But part of what she's talking about with the personalities goes beyond the socializing.
Yeah.
There is a way in which we've all kind of been naturally wired. And I like what you talk about with relation to the personalities. A part of me feels like all premarital counseling needs to involve personality assessment, but not for the sake of getting to know, I am this and this. In fact, the different systems, and some will talk about melancholy, cholerics and all of those things. But some of those, again, get to lock you up into particular boxes, and you're not locked up in a particular box. Part of what needs to happen, after you've gotten to know that, then the next question is, so what? Okay? So what? If I am a choleric, and cholerics typically refer to the extroverted thinkers. Yeah? So we describe them, yes, they present as headstrong and all of that, but the extroverted, they make their decisions from the head. Feelings are not what drive them. It's not what matters, okay? So what happens then when you marry an introverted feeler? While the extroverted thinker, who we call the choleric, is saying, what's the action? What are we going to do? What happened?
Why are you slow?
Why are you slow? Let's get on. What's the next action? An introverted feeler is saying, show me you care. It's about how do we do this? The how matters a lot more, while on the other side, it is the what. Then you have the extroverted feeler who is, hey, involve me and all of that. Don't leave me out of the decision making and all of that stuff. The extroverted thinker isn't so much about that, it's about action. So while you're running with your feelings, doesn't matter. On the other hand, you have an introverted thinker. It's facts, it's details, show me the details and all of that stuff. Now, we've gotten to know all of those things, so what? We don't fully prepare people for how to then engage. If I am an extroverted thinker and I am marrying an introverted feeler, they speak a language. And it's not the English, it's not the Uganda or Nyankore, whatever language we speak. They speak a language that comes from that. And then I need to know, how do I speak to connect with them? Otherwise, when I don't, we clash. And when we clash and I realize this is not good, I lose trust. I feel like the place is not safe for me to then communicate and engage. And when that safety is lost, then I don't trust that what I say will be used right. There's a wonderful book by Patrick Lencioni called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. I use it a lot for training in the corporate world, but it applies as well in a marriage. And the first dysfunction is absence of trust. And we talk about vulnerability-based trust, that ability to come up and say, I am wrong, I am afraid, I'm scared of doing this and the other. And when we can't say those things, I can't tell him my mistake, I can't tell her the errors that I did, then it leads us to another level, which is what we're talking about, the difficult conversations. We then fear to conflict. And because we fear to conflict, we create artificial harmony.
Yes.
Okay? We create artificial harmony. But this artificial harmony is not just starting. It's coming. The grounding is the trust. And where is that trust? That trust is, where is that trust absent? It's probably because I was burnt. And probably burnt because of those, the trauma, the personalities. With time we tried connecting, we couldn't speak each other's languages, we ended up crashing. So yes, the people can be forced, socialized into particular ways, but left on their own, you will, and you see it, even kids all grown up under the same home, strict, they all end up, eventually their personalities emerge. But we need to train and help people to realize, how do you connect and speak the other person's language? Remember, first time I met Amelia, I told a friend of mine, I've met this girl that I like. My only problem is she talks too much, I talk too much. I don't know who is going to listen to me. And for a long time, the biggest cause of our clashes in our marriage,
none of you was listening.
Wasn't listening. And I won't say today who listens better, but we both know. So where you can't complete a sentence, and that kind of creates a tension. But you see, when you then can't deal with that, it ultimately leads to difficult, more difficult things.
You know, when two people don't listen, it's just that one of them is not feeling heard. That's what it is. So what she was feeling is that, why don't you hear me? Hear me, then I'll hear you. So what she was hearing is, you shouting over her. So she said, you must listen to me. Before I listen to you, hear me. So you weren't here. That's why she was, why isn't he? And it's difficult. But also some of these things, many times the difficult conversations didn't, as I said, the small things, and it happens even before you get married. Because as you said, there's love, there's passion. What if it wasn't there actually? What if the marriage wasn't a marriage of convenience or arranged? It was just timely, beautiful. You fit into each other's pattern. You are both ambitious. You told him you want to do your master. He said, great, I've also done mine. I'll support you. So it all fit well. It was like a great conversation. And then the people involved said, you two look so good together. And then your friend said, my goodness, you're going to have beautiful children. And all of that influenced the decision because you're in a state of euphoria. However practical and confident you are, euphoria hits when you're in that space. And you don't have time to think, oh my goodness. So what if the passion wasn't really there? Euphoria was there, but it was more of, it's right. We're 26. I'm fertile. He's going to give me great, good-looking children. He comes from a wonderful family. He supports my idea to study a master's and PhD. My goodness, what could be better? Then they say, you know, there are no more good men. just marry him. And so all of those factors influence. And yet when you're in your marriage, all those factors don't exist. Because the people who said you look good together, they're not there when you need someone to talk to at 3 a.m. That's the thing. And then you realize that, my goodness, I'm here on my own. And one of the things is many people don't know who they are. You're stuck in other people's identity. They told you, you're a guy as a girl, therefore you're this. You come from this family, you're this. You go to All Saints, therefore you're this. You're a Sunday school teacher. So you're things, you're not a person. You're what you do, you don't know who you are. And then you're in this house, maybe for the first 3-4 years before you have a child, and you don't know who you are. Because when you're comfortable in who you are, it's easy to have difficult conversations. That's what I believe. Once you know who you are, you can have difficult conversations with yourself. Then when you approach others, it's also easier. That's what I really believe. People don't know who they are. They're all bits and pieces of other people saying, you looked good together, this family, you're a Sunday school teacher, you're a poet, you're a dancer, you are a chemist. And then you don't really sit and say, this is who I really want to be. I really want to be a painter. But how can I be a painter when all my life I was the first in chemistry? Of course I had to become a chemist. How can I be a painter when I was meant to have a PhD? What do I do with this scholarship to Cambridge? And yet deep inside you just want to paint, look after children, have a business to support the family, and that's okay. That is who you really are. Once you know who you are, I believe difficult conversations with others become easier. And yes.
You see, that sounds like a perfect world which doesn't exist. And just to pick it from the first part of your submission, that supposing there was no passion or interest in the other party after all, meaning that probably you married a wrong person or you're wrong or whatever. I'll speak as a relational scientist. I'll tell you, there is no perfect person we marry. No one. That's why relationships are about imperfect people. And it's all about how we share energy. It's about how we share energy. We can send out positive energy, get it back, send out negative energy, get it back. And that's about relationships. But also, can I mention to you, friends, that even if you married the rightest person, does that exist? I know
what is the rightest? This doesn't exist, actually. You make them right, or they become right as you.
No. Look, let's just be basic. That you chose the right person. There's still a lot of work to do. Because relationships are skill-based. Management of relationships is about skills. Learn these skills. These are learned. And I'm on record. I've said this. Let me repeat it. That there's no person. We don't have bridges built by some random person. They say, you studied English. Come and build a bridge. No, they get the person with skill, and skill is learned. You see, they get engineers. They pull together engineers to build a bridge. But the world has lied to us that we can get in relationships and gamble. Just gamble, just fake it until you make it. No, it will work. You know, your grandparents made it. They hadn't gone to school. That's a lie. Communication is a skill. You see, all these things we are talking about here, learn them. Listening is skill. Do you know that listening is a skill? You talked about maybe they are not listened to. 100%. Because when you finish somebody's sentence, they're just going to get frustrated.
Of course, you're not giving them time.
You see that? Yeah. Give them time. Listen, and listen attentively.
Yeah. Listen to hear, not to answer.
Listen to hear, not to react.
Not to respond.
Yes.
Respond, not to react. Yes.
Don't even listen to respond. Listen to understand. Now, when you listen to understand, you give the communicator comfort. Number one, that what they are saying is variable. Right? Number two, that you hear them out. Number three, that you understand what they have said. There's nothing as frustrating as talking to someone and you sense they haven't understood and they are responding.
Yes.
So listening is a skill. is a skill. You see, articulating your problem or your concern is a skill. That's why we have 3 ways to articulate a problem or to articulate a need or an issue. Choice of words, very important. You can have a good cause, good point, you really are interested in connect, but your words are wrong.
Yes.
You see?
Your tone
And
changes.
now, that's what? Tone. Your voice tone accounts for 38% of all successful communication. You can have the right issue, you really, you're right, you have a genuine concern, but your tone of voice messes you up. You're yelling. Now, let me remind viewers once again that every time you yell, the recipient hears noise, misses the message. That's the science of it. Okay? Number 3, body language. Body language accounts for 55% of all communication. That's why 93% of all communication is non-verbal. But what happens when people can't communicate? The other person is complaining. They say, "What have I said?" Said is only 7%. You see, so it is skill-based. I was making the point that even if we choose the right person, there's still a lot of work to do. You see, relationship management is skill.
Yep.
So learn it. Learn. Be interested in learning. Now, going back to just responding to the issue of self-discovery and self-awareness, and you know yourself, that's okay, but that's not the complete story.
That's just the starting
That's a
point.
starting point, and it's okay. It's important for us to know ourselves in relationships. That's what I do all the time. When someone says, "Oh, I'm married to this devil, they were created in hell," I say, "Okay, let's see. Let's start with you. You see, do you understand yourself? How do you respond to stress? How about when someone doesn't go? Do you have the empathy? Do you have the patience? Do you have the word? Probably they are running away from you as well. Let's start here. So it's important for us to know ourselves, starting point. But there is also what we call social awareness. Now you know yourself, but do you know your partner? Do you know your partner? Are you willing to know your partner? Now, you cannot have deep conversations if you don't know your partner. Supposing your partner comes from a background of trauma, and all you do, you know yourself, but then you don't know them. You don't know that the moment you bring this, they're just going to get edgy. They are going to get triggered. You see?
They see you later.
You see? So how about that? So it's important. And then how do you position yourself? How do you, what words do you use? Do you use threatening language? Are you calm? Are you composed? How is your emotional structure? You see, while someone is responding to you, you're rolling your eyes, you're doing this, you're showing frustration, how can you have deep conversations? You see?
So what
No,
are
I
deep
think-
conversations or difficult
And
conversations?
I think for me, that nails it. One, the fact that these things are learned. And you, the counselor, professional counselor, psychologist, you probably confirm this. It's what I have learned, especially through the
Yes.
training and coaching and all of that I
Yes.
do. I get people who come to me for coaching. Or my boss, how do I deal with my boss? I need to deal with this. Very often you find that it's not the other person that you change, it's you that you change.
Yes.
And when you change yourself, and again, changing yourself could be around what lenses you're changing, how you're seeing.
What do you
the
see?
thing, what do you see, and therefore reframing what you see, because I keep saying, if what you see is all you see, then you're not seeing all there is to see, okay? And so when you change what you see, when you change from telling to asking, you get to find that you see different things and therefore approach different things. And it's you who changes, and by you changing, the other person changes. I like, when you're talking about that, I believe when I understand myself. Yeah. It's like a 4-part thing. 1, understand self, and that's the starting point.
Yeah.
2, understand the other person. Because they're people, they're wired differently, they see things, all of us, we just don't know, but we have different filters. And that's why I'll show you that thing, it upsets you, she is not upset, she's not
like,
moved.
what's wrong? This
and
is a
you're
normal
like,
day.
but how could that upset you? And you're like, what do you mean, how could that upset me? And you're all upset by it. We all have different filters. So step back and appreciate that there is the different people. Then 2, purpose, how do you connect? Because you are seeing something in a different angle. How do you
There's always a way to
move
connect.
yourself?
There's always
Exactly.
a way.
There's always a way to connect. If you purpose to do that. And therefore, make the step to move forward and connect at that spot. What a difficult conversation.
Yes, a practical example, yeah.
Anytime you have a conversation that involves high emotions, decisions stakes are high, it could be as simple as we want to, which school do we take?
Choice of children's school is one.
Children's school.
Choice of church if you're
choice of church, whatever it is. Building a house, buying investments, big stuff, education, all of those things. I want to leave work. My friend, how do you leave work and stuff like that? It could be, it could relate to how you deal with a maid.
Yes.
The engagement, decisions around the maid. And you find as a man, say for example, and I've actually caught myself in this kind of thing. Imagine where a wife, if you have an issue with a maid, and as a man, I think I'm actually seeing you're the one who is wrong.
Yes.
Do you know how difficult?
Your wife is.
Yes. Now imagine, me, my wife, you're wrong, and I'm seeing it. How do I step in?
So can you give us that? How would you step in?
So this is the kind of thing. And this is where, and I think for me, one of the most powerful things is to reframe. Appreciate that she is seeing something different from what I am seeing. And unless we learn that, at that point, we're all telling ourselves stories.
Yes.
Many times when we conflict or fight, I am not reacting to the words you have said. My reactions are not because of the words you have said. My reactions are due to the stories I am telling myself.
So in this situation, I want to actually reframe.
This is
so the maid, you're having a discussion. Fred, this topista has to go. So talk.
All right.
Because it's a real issue. Yeah.
Can you share where? Have you thought about this? Now, this is what I tell people, and it's good that we're talking about this.
She spills the porridge, tea is always hot, the matoko and the sigiri is hard. I've told you, and she doesn't use deodorant, because this is the actual thing. Doesn't use deodorant. Why does she take longer at the shops? You sent her, the shops are just there 10 minutes. She's taking 45 minutes.
So let's be very clear. There are certain things that
So you see, my voice is raised now.
Yes.
Answer.
And again, this is where you're raising with a voice.
Yes, so my voice is raised, and those are...
Let me just go back to the issue around crucial or difficult conversations. One, you need to identify them, spot the difficult. And how do you spot them? One of the ways you spot them is through the tone.
Yes.
What tone is
now
being
respond
used?
to me.
I'm just coming to that. I'm just taking advantage of an opportunity because it's one thing talking about difficult conversations, and people might miss them because you can't identify them. You are seeing emotions are high.
My emotions are really high.
I could tell that your emotions are high.
And
I could
venting,
tell the voice is high. It's one of those things. One of the first things I need to do is to make it safe. Reframe that. Now, the reality is, if I just tell, you know how you're asking me?
Yes.
You're actually not asking me, you're telling me.
I'm telling you.
Because this is what you're saying.
I want you to agree with me.
I want you to agree with me.
Because it makes me feel secure that...
The tool that I would use, the best tool that I would use in such a situation is not tell back, is to ask.
Yes.
And I need to use questions to reframe your mind. What informed her decision?
Yes.
What was happening? How did she get to the... I'm just wondering, yes, Topista did this and the other, but Topista has actually been good. What has changed in the recent?
Because something must have changed.
Exactly.
Yes.
Could there be something that has... By me beginning to do that, I drive you into a space that puts on different lenses, that gets you to think about something that you may not have thought. That way you might agree with me and hold. Is there something, do we want to pause this and engage with this later? Now, it's a more intelligent way, and I tell people in difficult things, think about what kind of questions you can ask. If I go at you and
you don't want to side with the maid at all.
I don't want to
you
side
want to
with
be
the
objective,
maid.
and yes.
I want to be objective. And I mean, that issue with the maid could be the same one with the child.
Yes.
I see the child is right, you are wrong.
Yes.
How do I tell you? And sometimes it is in front of the child. Okay? If it's in front of the child, it's a difficult conversation. Best, in my opinion, and I could be wrong. We have a counselor here who I would suggest heal the conversation, pause the conversation, find a way of us taking it away. There's something we read early in our marriage, which is called land the plane. And if I just said land the plane, we would all know that let's just put this here. We will continue that in our. So have your own phrase, because you don't want to conflict in front of your child.
So what is an actual phrase?
Yeah, it's land the plane.
Okay. No, I mean, so I want an actual verbal response to this heated. She's saying da da da, because many times
it could be as simple as, and again, Bev, you're asking me for. It could be as simple as, let me think about this.
Yes.
Give me a moment.
Yes.
Yeah. Give me a moment. And I'm just buying time, one, for you to cool.
Yes.
Because if you don't cool, no matter what I say, it's just going here.
But also, one of the most important things in these things is that sometimes a wife just wants to feel heard. You see, they don't want a solution, actually. Yes. The problem is not topist. The problem is like, whenever I talk to you, I feel you're not listening. So if you say, let me get back to you, sometimes that's enough.
So it could be, let me talk to you, or if I hear you right, you're saying this and this and this, replaying.
Yes.
Okay.
And sometimes all I want is, thank you for listening, because I feel you're not listening. Can't you see I do all this work with Topista? Sometimes it's really that basic. It's not that she spends 45 minutes at the shop. She can spend 4 hours as long as I feel you're hearing me. Or maybe I feel you're not even appreciating. Do you know how much I do to supervise this lady? So if you say, so many times it's not that, oh my goodness, it's not. Topista's just collateral damage. All I want is, Javi, can't you just say, so if you say, well, I do appreciate, I'll get back to you. That's all.
With my friends,
and I feel
my brothers.
Heard. Yes,
you're talking about my brothers.
So sometimes that's it. I just want to feel heard. And again, as a skill in the relationship, skill of listening, you'll know that, I think this venting is because she doesn't feel heard. Haven't I appreciated? Haven't I? And it's not that they're demanding flowers. And appreciation comes from, thank you. You do actually work hard. Let me see about that. And that's all. You don't have to resolve and talk to Topista. You've heard me, and that's all I need.
Back with my brothers.
Your brothers.
Your brothers?
Say that about your brothers.
You know what?
Brothers, are you listening?
These sisters. Our sisters.
This gender.
That's
sometimes just wants to.
Yes.
I hear you.
Yes, that's all.
Okay.
And I wish
I have heard you. Of course, if you just say it as a phrase and it passes and nothing really happens, because it must, any crucial, difficult conversation, as you go through it, you need to say, where do we end up? What are the actions? And don't forget the underlying thing. You remember when I was talking about, it's ultimately an issue of trust. How you handle and deal with these. A person will get to appreciate. They might be in that space, and we have been in that space in our marriage where it was difficult about the help. Again, don't forget, your wife deals with this person on a daily basis. They work with them. That notwithstanding, they could be wrong. They could have a moment where they're wrong. And you need tact in how you, so I hear you. Can we revisit this later? One, I'm giving it time, depending upon your state.
Time to simmer.
If your state was very high, me giving time to simmer is just allowing a bit, and then I make sure I don't give it forever.
No,
okay?
That's true.
Then two, use questions to reframe and create different space.
So did you mean that she takes 30 minutes instead of, how often has this been happening? So that it becomes objective, so that I'm not just ranting. She takes a long time. I'm like, so how? Is it every day? Because every day she's that. And then you realize, actually, it's only Saturdays. Why Saturdays? Saturdays when I want to go to the salon. That's why it bothers me. And then you get down to the core issue.
No, yes.
When you get down to the core issue, so you stop being so those questions. Yes.
No, that's. I'm really glad, Fred, you have mentioned something about landing the plane, not crashing it. Our son wants to be a pilot, so he teaches me a number of things. He's only 11, and he recently, when we had a trip outside of the country, he was, every time we landed, he would say, "Oh, that's butter landing." Then here he says, "Oh, this one wasn't neat." Oh, this he has so many terminologies which I don't know. But I like that you talk about that. Just reminding us that every time we are resolving an issue, we need to know that the issue we are handling is bigger than the relationship. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's why we have to focus on safe landing. So when you're dealing with this issue, how do you land? Does it crash? Do you crash? And there are, of course, definitely in a couple times when people, all of us, crash. Let me just be vulnerable here. I think when we had just gotten married, I think communication was the thing that I didn't want to hear about, because everyone was telling us, communicate well, communicate. Communication is so important, communication. I say, yeah, it is. Now, different personalities, once again, and being a woman. Now, my personality is very expressive. Something has happened, let's talk about it, and it ends. My partner's personality is totally different. He's a thinker, he processes. When I want something resolved, he's still thinking, I'm frustrated, right? And it went on for a long time. Now, every time when you're in church and everyone is acting normal except you, you see, you go to fellowship, everyone is dancing. You're like, wait a minute, we can't communicate. They say, you can't communicate. Jesus died on the cross. You're like, yeah, he did, but we can't. Yeah, you see that kind of thing, and it's so simplified. It's like, go talk about things. Now, I'm very sure at some point we're going to talk about a few things about the how-to. But I remember one of our elders who we depended on to give us advice. He kept saying, "Oh, your bedroom should be," I don't remember what he called it, but like a sanctuary. And so go there, talk about all the issues. But then you go to the bedroom and then someone says, this is not a courtroom, right? And this, when I went into therapy, I'm meeting this all the time. And I think that's why God called me into therapy. So I'm able to relate with some of these things. This is not a courtroom. Okay. Now, so dining is for eating. Living room is for resting. So kitchen is for cooking. So where are you going? Then you go out. And then when you go out to talk, and then it's like, now we've come to rest, to relax, and now you're bringing up issues. And this is usually what happens, because you see, sometimes someone can look for a place to have deep, difficult conversations, and it's not there. Why? Because everyone is running away. We are being avoidant, right? We are being avoidant. Now, you said, so what are difficult conversations? These are emotionally challenging conversations about sensitive topics, right? Sensitive issues in your relationships that both of you have different views about, right? Different views. So you think it's right to punish this person, another person thinks it's not right. Now, so how do you reconcile your thoughts and your hearts about this and maintain the relationship? You see? How do you reconcile this? Because that's about the difficult conversations. Because the rest were okay. You can dance, you can laugh, you can talk about Jesus, you can... Well, that you're on the same page. But what happens when you have to talk about finances? Like we've just had a conversation on finances here on Reality Check. This is something that is killing people. How are we going to buy it? By the how much do you earn? I don't know your... That's a difficult conversation. Home management, like you're talking about house helps. How do you... Parenting style, man, that one is killing everyone. Yes, and how do we manage spiritual issues? If we have been going to different churches, now I know that there are some couples, for instance, a guy gets up and goes to church and comes back at midnight, and their children, and yes, mom, welcome to the world. And so this is what is happening. Those are difficult.
Dealing with families.
Extended family. And limited, it can be from A to Z. Why? Because relationships are a management platform. That's why I remind people, it's not about, you see, love gets us together, but love has to be managed. You see? And so, yes, love has to be managed, because you can't say, oh, these people are separating because they have no love. Every person who marries another person has some degree of love. Don't worry about how that is measured. Don't worry when they tell you, maybe I was wrong, I didn't see properly. No, there is a degree of love. So whoever you chose, there is going to be management. So marriage relationships are a management platform, and management is skill-based. So that's why we have to get skills and have these difficult, very, very difficult conversations. Now, what Fred was talking about, that then you listen, you show this person that you have understood. That is going to calm them down. Why? Because they feel this person values me and what I'm saying. That's skill. You see? Now, what happens is that the differences we were talking about, men and women, men, whenever a wife comes to them and say, ranting, repeating words, and I'll talk about word count. Fred, you know the word count. Now, what happens is that this wife will come to you and say, this has happened, now this child, and now this maid, let me talk about maid. This maid, they rant. The men don't usually have the grace to absorb all that. They easily get overwhelmed by verbal. So what happens? They say, I have to give a solution
So get rid of the situation.
so that this can settle. So they quickly come in with logical solutions. Even Job. Your wife will come to you and say, this manager was created in hell, they are harassing me, this and this, and this is happening, this job. And when they say it today, say it tomorrow, the husband is going to feel obliged, or is it obliged, to give a solution to this. And I mean, he means well, he wants to give a solution so that this problem can be solved, right? But what they don't understand is that for a woman to be listened to, availing yourself, and you say, oh, okay, that's how you feel, then they are going to feel understood, valued, validated in their feelings, and listened to, and all that. And that solves the problem halfway, or even more. Now, what Fred mentioned, and no wonder Fred is a leadership coach, but you know, that can happen there, but at micro level, it can also be difficult. But very important that you have that skill, that then you listen and then use the answer, rather the question approach. So what were you thinking of doing? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Rather than do this, resign, chase the maid. Now, I'm sure some husbands will resonate with this, because women, we confuse you. We come to you and say, this maid and all that, which shows that it's a dire situation. And then the husband says, fire them. Then we go like, then if we fire them, what are we going to do?
Then what do you want me to do?
So that's what brings confusion.
That response is not what they want.
Yes,
They don't feel valued
because
when you say
now
that.
you can get that. But you see, the way you say it, first of all, listen. Let them rant. Let them let them flash out all the emotions, all the frustration, because they are coming to you as a safe space, so that you can, at least they know one person will listen to them and understand them. Now, if you show that, you could even understand and show them maybe they made a mistake, maybe they are misjudging or blowing the situation out of, that's okay. But at least provide the opportunity for them to calm down and flush out all the emotions. Then, the way you come out, don't blame. I think you also she could have a problem, but don't. But also women don't understand that men do not process such information the way we process it. Because as we come with all the emotions and words and repetitions and all, and that doesn't make us weird or twisted, we are normal. But reconciling the way both of us approach situations, it comes again from the place of ignorance, because we don't know that our partners process information differently. Now, I'm sure every woman has gone through this, or every man has gone through that. Now, what happens is that when you've gone through a situation and then you've gone to your husband, or usually most of the time husbands don't come to us, but we come to you. We come to you, and when it doesn't get resolved properly, then another time a woman still will come, but more agitated and biased, knowing that someone either understands or is biased. Because you see, we communicate with people based on how we feel about them, right? So if, for instance, the next time the wife comes and they are talking to you, they are already guarded. They say, I know this person very well. They never listen, so let me yell. That's where some of the yelling comes from, because then it robs us of the opportunity to be calm, to be gracious, to be what? Then, I know you. Then one word or just a body language, then you see someone blow up. So it's very important for us to understand that, number one, personalities, we've talked about them, but also men and women process this information differently.
By the way, sometimes even the other person is not aware that they're affecting you. Sometimes they just need to be told, because there are times when I've told Emma things and said, I had no idea. He really had no idea. And sometimes that simple guidance really resolves so much. Why is it difficult for Christians sometimes, do you think? And this is to both of you. And what I mean by that is, sometimes we spiritualize everything, that our difficult conversation is resolved through the prayer. Lord, my wife is difficult. We come against that devil, Lord. We bind the ancestry. And it's true, because we find it easier to placate the situation through prayer. And why that is so difficult is because you fail to actually speak about it, instead you're praying over it and fasting over it, then intimacy is affected.
No, look,
because
maybe Fred, you say something about that. I'm so glad you bring it up, that why is it difficult for Christians? You see, not Christians, no, it's okay. Don't worry, whether that's some or all. You see,
but it is
at basic level, we are human. Now, what is Christianity? It's supposed to transform us. And anyone who reads the Bible, please read Hosea. My people are perishing because of ignorance. Hosea, chapter what? 6:4 or 4:6? Hosea. Look for that scripture. My people are perishing because of ignorance. You see, being Christian doesn't protect you from what happens in what the daily happenings in the world. That's why Jesus said, you're in the world, but don't be of the world. What was he saying? You're in the world, you're going to experience everything else that everyone in the world experiences, but you have to respond or operate differently. And so being a Christian is not going to protect you. But then also, Bev, let me tell you, when I was doing psychology, I learned, and this is true, that if we don't use Christianity to transform us, we're going to use it to just cover our sins, and that doesn't protect us at all. It's cover up. You see, and I also learned that most of the time prayer, and I'm coming to your prayer thing, that we use religion, not spirituality, religion. And religion, by the way, in psychology can be we call it negative coping, cover up, where then you pray, but you're praying with no direction. There is a reason why we pray. We pray for wisdom. We pray for peace, for calm. All the things we are talking about. Okay, this person is yelling, Lord, give me the grace to calm down. What is that? That's skill. And the Bible talks about a skilled worker. A skilled worker. So being a Christian doesn't exonerate you from acquiring skill to manage relationship. And I know why I'm emphasizing this, because Christians are shocked that their marriages are that our marriages are breaking, because they were told that being a Christian is just enough. No, it's not. You see, if you break the principles of life, life is going to happen. Things are going to happen. Now, you're going to cause an accident if you drive excessively, even when you're listening to Christian music. You see? So being a Christian is not enough. Praying is not enough. What are you praying about? If you pray condemning your partner, and I know, ladies, we do this all the time. We say, God, your son, this son of yours, deal with him. But we don't say, Lord, give me wisdom to just speak to me. And I like how King David used it to do it. He's one of my guys. King David, whenever there was war, he would say, Lord, tell me, should I go to war or I shouldn't? If you're not going with me, I'm not going, Moses. And all this, let me tell you, he was saying, God, guide me. Now, this is a prayer that Christians should be praying about. Give me wisdom. Help me to understand this situation. Am I the one? Am I not? That's how Jesus prayed. He said, this has come. If it is me who is not understanding it well, and he said, Lord, let your will be done. What is Christianity? What are we talking about, Christians? So Christians, if we do not apply the biblical principles, maybe you need to forgive.
You will still crush.
You're going to crush. You're going to crush.
I like that. I like that. And when you're saying we go, sometimes some people will go to prayer and use it as an opportunity. It's easier for me to communicate to to by speaking
it's
this
venting.
too.
Yes, it's attacking.
And
it's
stuff
not
like that.
It's not with brotherly or sisterly
It
love.
doesn't replace the skill, the knowledge and skill that you require.
Yes. And
what you just talked about there, Emma, take time. I mean, in the course of my training and working with people, people get amazed. There's a book I was reading, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell, and one of them, The Law of Connection. It talks about everybody has a story. And it's amazing what happens when you listen to people's personal stories. Now, we are married, but not all of us have had an opportunity to listen to each other's stories.
Yes.
We saw her, we saw him, we liked, we loved each other, we said the sweet little nothings, and we agreed, let us
Just
go.
propelled into this.
The trauma she's talking about, we don't know. It's like a submarine. What we saw, no, not a submarine, an iceberg. What we saw and attracted us is a very small part. It's the 10, 20%. The 80% that is buried is a combination of so many things. Now, I remember when I was running a mastermind on that, my wife was in the class, and then she's like, It's very interesting because now as charging people are going to go back and engage with the people they dealt with, they worked with, understanding their personal stories. And who was reporting to my wife at the time, she wasn't employed, it was our help. I was just like, I actually don't know her full personal story. And then when she moved out, she's like, well, quite a bit changed without the help changing, but my wife understanding the other person's story and how it has affected her to get to that point, it said so much. Now, same thing with marriage.
Yeah.
How much time have you taken? And again, there are exercises that are available. If you're out there, you're listening, there are exercises. If I remember some of it, I will, time stories and stuff like that. Go check them out.
Is that online?
Yes, online. If I remember some, I'll share them. I'll share them later, that you can do exercise. Just sharing, listening, going through what has shaped your life, your beliefs and perspectives along the way. Just walking through. And as people talk, sometimes they get to points where they don't want to go beyond that point because it gets, okay, at that point, I encountered this, And those moments give you an opportunity to talk. But by going that direction, you suddenly might have a light bulb moment to understand why he behaves that way, why she behaves that way. And then that gives you then the freedom to know, because you've just been attacking these. They're speaking and all of that, but you don't understand.
And then
it's
sometimes
more like,
you need to separate the issue from the person.
Exactly.
That's what
it's more like that moment when you finally get to meet her or his grandfather or grandma, you're like,
now
okay,
I understand.
Now I get it.
Now I get it. So instead of praying, I bind all that.
So you see all of that.
What are you binding?
Exactly.
Sometimes we are binding
You're
God.
binding.
Anyway,
Sometimes you're...
So it's an invitation to know that there is more to the people that we see, and therefore calm down, reframe, rephrase the stories you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
You are telling your stories, and those stories are impacting the way you react. There's something called the ladder of perception. We all see the same data, we all assign different meanings, and all of that stuff. We had one of those recent picture no sound moments with my wife, or close the week, and sparked a moment, and I said, okay, we've got to talk about this. Yeah, we've got to talk about this. And then, so again...
So both of you realized it almost around the same time?
I mean, it can't continue. My brother says embassies are closed. Embassies are still closed. So I say, embassy, watch as you get. So it's not an issue of... It's so easy for you to get into this place to win, but it's not an issue of, I can state my path and listen to the other.
So that you both win.
And you then listen, and she shares with you. And she said, look, I felt alone in this moment. And I'm like, but why did you feel alone? Can we just track back where this whole thing started? For me, my response, my reaction is starting from this place. Yeah. If you walk back from where we started at home, just think about this. Before we even got there to this particular event, what happened? And then I think she realizes, oops, if she was in my space, she would have reacted exactly the same way I was. So I'm feeling alone, I'm feeling confused and all of that stuff, but that's just because you are not. So there is something, go look it up. If you're listening in, look up the ladder of perception. By the time you get to act, so what's typically happened is, one, there's data that you have seen, he has come in late, okay? Bam, you then arise, you assign meaning, attached to, you select what to focus on. All you focused on is come late. You don't know what his day was like at work, you don't know what she has been up to, all of those things. You even forget that she sent you a message that I was going to be late along the way. You then begin attaching meaning, and there are meanings that you are attaching. You are selecting, but the other day she did this. My sisters, some of our friends who said, but where do you try to understand that our brains are like spaghetti brains, they're picking from this and the other. So you have selected data you are referring to, and the things that you're picking on are totally unrelated
Yes.
to the events of the day. You ultimately form beliefs and act.
You're reacting to those.
You react. You are bursting out. Now, I don't understand why you're bursting out, because I don't know all these stories that you have told yourself in your head. And in that blood of perception concept, they say when you're there and you're feeling annoyed, just walk back down the ladder. What data did I? Is there more that I could have seen? So I keep telling people, and I'm glad I did this leadership program that introduced me to this concept. This was around 2005, the British Council. And one of the key things that I picked out from there was, one, hold negative assumptions lightly and positive assumptions strongly. Okay? And two, what you focus on becomes your reality, and there are multiple realities. So when you realize that what I'm holding on to is based on a set of assumptions.
Yeah.
And I am happy because I have made positive assumptions. I am angry because I have held negative assumptions. Let me hold on to these negative assumptions lightly until I have confirmed and understood the other facts. When you understand the alternative facts, if you're honest enough, you might apologize to your spouse for the stories and things that you had created in your head.
I love what you said. What happens when these difficult conversations are laid out and both are intentional? Maybe one is more intentional, so because the end result is really, let's come to a place of reconciliation so we can move forward, and then reconciliation does not happen. Are we able to identify at what point do we need intervention, a third party, if that's what they're called, or the difficult conversations result in more difficulty? What happens then? Is that when a third party is necessary, or is that when, because I strongly believe every situation is reconcilable, but what if one party doesn't? They really believe this is the deal breaker for me. What happens?
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Look, when we talk about all these things, I wish it was as easy as we are talking about. But I guess the point of emphasis is, let's purpose to get knowledge and to get understanding, because we have to know that there is something holding our partner back in terms of, you could have like a great point, genuine concerns and all that, but the other party is not getting it, and you're not going to solve the problem alone. You need your partner. Two things. Number one, you're not on the same page yet. We don't process information the same way, and I'm glad you're talking about the ladder. We don't process information the same way. And so when you're not processing information the same way, the reason we blow out and lose it is that we hold an assumption that we are all on the same page, but this person is just choosing to be stubborn. Probably they haven't understood it. And so what does that mean to you, who has a great point, great concern, absolutely understood, validated, but this person is not getting you? Number one, the things we talked about, different personality, ego, all these things, trauma, what are they seeing that you're not seeing, all those things. Now, what is that? Choose to see things from their standpoint, and that's what Fred is emphasizing. Are you just so consumed and so self-absorbed and looking at yourself in this picture? You're not communicating to yourself, you're communicating to the other person. So what is it that is holding them back? That's why we emphasize the issue of one of you has to be bigger. You have to see things from a mountain top. Right? You see, when you're on a higher altitude, then you're able to see things better. The view is different. You see? But now when you choose to fight at this level and you're labeling this person, you're telling them how they will go to hell, that doesn't help. try to understand them. Now, the secret is that once you have a better view, they could be stuck, they could be having bad manners and all the things that we want to say. But that's okay. Do you understand it? Do you understand what they are dealing with? So it's very important. Now, most of the time when we speaking about third parties, involving third parties, again, we have to know, and I'm sure my sisters that are listening, and also my brothers that are listening, you've heard this couple times that the men, husbands, will always say, these are our things, don't take them out. Don't take them out. Yeah, these are our things. Now, the woman, the wife,
in Buganda we say ebyomunju tebitotorwa ebyomukisenge tebigenda mu ddiiro ebyomuddiiro tebigenda mu luggya ebyomuluggya tebifuluma.
So that is important. Now,
very
important. And if I could speak into that, that is okay. That's okay for you to resolve your issues, because you see, when things get out, you don't know how the world is going to interpret them. Even your closest friends. Some people have been absolutely messed up betrayed by best friends and family, and oh my God, and family, and not everyone knows how to handle emotional issues. I mean, I've heard people say, if there is a problem in that marriage, it must be that person, because they don't know the person.
Their own judgment.
You see. So it's difficult when things come out. It creates another layer of management, understandably so. However, it's very important for the two parties to realize that there are certain things they may not be able to see properly and handle. And so involving an external person, and I'm not contradicting myself here, involving an external person is okay as long as the person, number one, you've agreed on them, both of you. Not one threatening and say, if we don't solve this, I'm going to involve the bishop, the pastor. Isn't it what we tell you, especially as women? I will tell the pastor, I'll tell the best man, and of course also men. I've met men who are stranded and they hold this and they say, because you see, if I may explain this a little more for us ladies, when issues come out of your home, they move beyond the luja. The man feels incompetent. He feels helpless. He feels like, man, I've failed. And it's very hard for men to feel that they are helpless, they have failed to solve a problem. It's in their natural setting, and there's nothing wrong with them. Again, they are not twisted, perverted, or anything. It's normal. But men also need to know that there are certain things that are going to require external help. But that external help, number one, you have to make sure that you agree. Number two, you have to make sure that the person you are involving holds the same kind of value system and standard. Because most of the time, out of emotions, we involve anyone. Someone being your best man or matron doesn't mean that they hold the same. You know how we choose matron, godparents. Yes, you've been friends forever, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are able to handle your issues. They may not be able to carry the weight of your problems or have the wisdom to provide, maybe in the moment or even forever. You see? And so that's okay. So make sure that you're looking for a person that aligns with your values, that you're sure is going to give you a balanced view. Because when you're in the picture, you're not going to see, rather when you're framed up, as we say, you cannot see the whole picture when you're in the frame. So there is that moment when you need to involve an external person. Of course, I can't leave this point without asking people, please seek professional help.
I agree. It must be.
Seek professional help. I don't know how much I can emphasize this. I'm not just asking you to come to me. Go to any professional person that is going to help you. Because this emotional relational entanglement requires a professional to do the professional thing we learned. You're going to go to someone and they are going to quickly label your partner or label their family and mess you up and say, you see, that woman really is behaving like she comes from this family, they are bad. You see her looking here. They don't know how to do psychoanalysis. They don't know, they're not going to get into the trauma we talked about. They don't know that. So they're just going to quickly give you some emotional first aid, if it's first aid or distraction, because they mean well, they love you, but they don't know what to or how to handle that weight. And so it's very important to know that, number one, it's okay for you to seek external help, but preferably
I strongly agree.
professional.
I strongly agree. Why? Because they don't have the emotional burden of the matron or the best man, one. And then a family member will then say, what do I do with this? Should I also tell the uncle? Am I the only one? Why have they chosen me? And why have you chosen them, by the way, that auntie, that singer, that I strongly believe in professional help. Strongly.
I think, and going beyond the burden and everything.
Yes.
The same way, when you're going to build a house, you don't just look for a teacher because they're a good person. I mean, I worked in the construction industry, and we saw lots of masons and all of that. You're going to go for an engineer. Why? You know they have been trained and equipped and skilled to do that. You are not just going to go to anybody when you are sick. You're going to go to a doctor. In fact, you ask, but that doctor tell me how
You even get referrals.
So it's the same thing. People have been trained. The professional therapists have been trained. They've invested resources and time to learn certain skills to deal with that. So beyond the baggage elements and stuff like that comes with it, for me, it's the fact that you are putting yourself, think about it the same way you would think about a surgery, and you want to go
Get the
with
best
the
help,
person where you have the best chance of help. It typically comes down to
Because the professional is more concerned with the end result.
Absolutely.
They know the beauty of what the end result could be. But this best friend will not. What they're seeing is that your emotional response. They're responding like you emotionally.
They can. And they could have some good thoughts. But you see, that's why we call it emotional first aid. Yeah, yeah, but they're not going to do surgery. You see, they're not going to do surgery. They're going to put a plaster, but you probably need surgery, and so they are not going to do surgery. But having said that, I just wanted to add to a few other things, probably, Babe, as we conclude this, that as a matter of principle and professional advice, when you're going to engage in difficult conversations, number one, be mindful of your emotional state. Yeah, be mindful of your emotional state.
Are there practical ways of checking that? And that's a sincere question.
Yes.
Because some people aren't aware that they are.
Yes.
So can you guide us?
So for instance, if you're angry, if you feel you're going to talk and you're just covered by anger, that's not the right place to speak. Right? To talk about deep conversations. Exactly. We actually call them angry words. You're going to say angry words that you're not going to be able to retrieve. Because if you say something and this partner shrinks back or shows up, then your anger is even more stirred up. That is going to be a problem because you're going to say angry words, and that's some of the words you've heard people say. You're the worst accident I've ever made. You're the worst mistake I ever made. How did I end up with you, fool? And all those things. And then later on, you have to go back on your words. So as much as possible, make sure that you're in a good state. And you ask, how else do you tell check when you start talking about it, how it makes you feel. If you feel a burning on the inside, that's not the right place to engage. So first deal with your emotions. And what Fred was talking about, process this thing, process it, go back, check which information you need to revisit, what data you need to revisit. Find out the way this situation looks like. Are you sure that's how it is, or you're putting in so much more? Right? Because sometimes we put in much more, right? Are you exaggerating it? Are you sure you have the right information? Do you trust the source of your information, or do you trust the source of your feelings? All that. Very, very important, because when you engage emotionally charged, then you're going to lose the point. Your choice of words is going to be affected, your voice tone is going to be affected, your body language is going to be affected, and this is not going to give you a good place to have deep conversations that are supposed to give you better landing. Better landing. Yes. Number two, I don't know whether I really want to, I'm skilled enough to talk about the right place and time. But of course, it comes back to how you're feeling at a time you're feeling, but also when you're not tired. You know, these are draining conversations. For me, they are really draining. They are draining. Make sure that you have a bit of reserve. You can talk, you're able to hold back, you're not exhausted. Now, what happens? Most of the time, we go to bed after a long, tiring day, but you've also been processing all these things. You're so exhausted. Then you say, we need to talk. We can't sleep. We just need to talk.
The sun should not go down when we are angry.
Yes.
And that's also
Ephesians 4:26.
Ephesians. Everyone knows that verse.
Yes.
Actually, I don't know how many times I quoted that scripture.
Everyone.
And I thought I was right because I'm expressive. I thought that's when I'm counseling people, I'm very gracious because I know what I went through. I know. There's a way God
Maybe it's
trains
good you
us.
also went through that experience.
Oh, absolutely,
so that
that's training. Oh, yeah.
It was part of your
God
training.
does not deploy the untrained. He trains us. And honestly, I'm very honest with my clients, even when I'm talking to them. Communication was one of the things that almost killed us in our marriage. Because I would hear people say, we communicate. I'm like, wait a minute, how do you do it? And then me, because of my personality, the expressive type, communicate. I knew it's talking. You don't even have to check whether someone has a different personality, whether they are a man, whether you're just talking. And so and because I'm also a woman, so I thought, oh, talk. Now, I did know, and I would say, the sun should not go down when we are still.
Yeah.
And I would talk, but on a serious note, when you're exhausted, you're not going to have this. And I hear people say, no, me, if I don't talk about it, I'm going to blow up. You're not. You're not going to die. You're going to hold that. Now, it also trains you in self-restraint, what we call in psychology emotional regulation. You're supposed to regulate your emotions. You'd rather have it now, but man, it's not the right time. Okay? So time and place. Why? Some people have blown up before children. Yeah, you know the mess we are in. I can't hold it. No. This can't go on. Boom. But now,
On social media.
yes, what is that landing? Crash landing. Thank you, Fred, you've taught me that. Crash. So we have to know that, okay, this thing is not bigger than the relationship. After this, there's going to be life and we have to manage it. So it's very, very important. Fred, maybe I say this then also, don't attack character. Don't attack. You're ugly, you're what, you're fake, you're this, you're that. If you want to have a conversation, focus on the issue. Separate the what from the who. And the moment we separate an issue from the person, then this person is going to be comfortable. They know that we are addressing an issue. If it is coming late, then
I was thinking about it.
yes.
Late coming.
If it is late coming, it is late coming.
It's not you.
It is not you, man, most of the time, but also women, it is this late coming. But this late coming, when you communicate that issue, break it down. Break it down. Say, this is how it makes me feel. This is how it's affecting our children. This is how it causes anxiety. And I feel we are disconnected. So let's talk about this and contextualize it in the relationship. Because most of the time it becomes a personal thing. It's a you and me thing. When it's a you, me, it loses meaning. But the moment you put it in the bigger picture of the relationship, then the partner understands it. So it's very, very, very important for us to know that this issue, once solved, is going to improve our relationship.
Absolutely.
Someone said never use the words always and never.
Yes.
And it reminds me of what you just said.
Of course.
Because if you're attacking the personality, you'll say, you are always. But a person is not always
It's
late.
manipulative.
It's manipulative.
And in a way, it comes from a place of desperation, because most of the time we want to pull out the hardest word so that the person feels guilty, then they comply.
We drive them to our space.
Yes.
So two things, as you're talking about, I like what you talked about, the timing and all of that. We need to understand from a psychological perspective, and I'm not a psychologist, just a few things here, but under pressure, what tends to happen is our perspective reduces. And we don't see everything there is to see.
Under pressure is a good
Under
way to-
pressure. Under pressure, we kind of, narrowed it down. And this is where part of what relaxing does, it helps you see a lot more. When the pressure, when the stakes are high, the emotions are high, we tend to go, this book, Crucial Conversations, I've had to use it a lot with many people. That's why when we talked about this topic, I said, you know what, I'm always going through this.
Online?
Yes, it is available online. It's available in bookshops and all of that. It talks about when those emotions and everything are, we tend to always go for two choices, foolish choices. We think in that moment they're the only available choices. Flight or fight.
Or fight, yes.
Violence or just withdraw and all of that. And yet the reality is we have a lot more than just fighting or flighting.
That's true. As you said, multiple realities.
There are multiple realities. And so allowing yourself, the basketballers have timeout, when the pressure is on timeout and then they pull back, just allows you then the opportunity to step back, think, reflect, what else is there? What stories am I telling myself? Now, I'm going to speak to something that sometimes it appears a bit controversial, but it's really around on a leadership perspective. Every time you talk about some of these things, guys are like, so does it mean you never make any decision because you have to ensure everybody's together? There will be times you have to make a tough call. But before you take that call, evaluate. Don't just be dismissive of his or her opinion. You've evaluated, you have heard, you have said we need to make this call. And there's a place and space for leadership. And saying, you know what, having listened and all of that stuff, I decided to take this. And I hear you, this is what I consider in terms of, and this is where I'm making a call that may not necessarily have been in your line of thinking. But have I heard you? What information have I processed? What facts have I? So you can get to, and there are moments, I'm sure we've all been through moments where you're like, I'm glad you did that. I'm glad. And so you're appreciating leadership.
Of course.
And sometimes we fail to act, we fail to lead because we feel like when we're talking about this whole idea of crucial conversation, everything must be fully harmonious and all of that stuff. It is important to the extent possible, and the Bible says, to the extent possible, live at peace. What does to the extent possible mean? Yeah? What does that? It leaves so much. But I think all it's saying is, get out of your way. Do all you can.
Yes.
To listen. Don't be dismissive. Appreciate their different perspectives. Watch What are your own motives in all of this? Is it for you, or is it really genuinely
And the
for
Bible says it, are your motives pure?
Absolutely. So check your motives and all of that. Then make the call. Make the call. And you can, again, as well come back to some of these things, because sometimes some of these things are time sensitive. You need to make certain calls. But address them and the conversations continue. The other thing is when it comes to, and it's one of those things that's impacted me a lot recently. And we're having a conversation with my wife, and I shared part of what I'd read. Now, this was in relation to a decision about a son. And I read the book by John Maxwell called The Highway Leader. And he wrote 2 books, Jesus, the Highway Leader, and now called The Highway Leader, part trying to speak to different audiences. But one of the things that came out very strongly for me was he talks about how Jesus, he's God, perfect, no sin, all of those things. He's high up here in heaven. He could have said, you guys, I can't tolerate, and we know he can't tolerate sin and that. You guys, you clean yourselves and come to me. Okay? But he chose to calm down.
He did, yes.
Okay?
He did.
The highway came down, and because he came, he was able to connect with us. Many times when we're in crucial conversations, when stakes are high and all of that, all of us are taking high stools, and we don't want to calm down. You're like, but how can't you see this? This is basic. Eh?
You even clapped. That's exactly how we respond.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it's about taking an example of Jesus. Yes, I know I'm right. I don't think Jesus in any way doubted he was God and clean and all of those things, and yet he still came down. We need to calm down. Calm down to the level of this one who we might actually think they are foolish not to see what we're seeing.
Yes.
Okay? Calm down to their level. But by calming down and connecting with them, then it becomes easier for them to come.
Both of you to rise together
to the same level. And I think for me that becomes very, very important, that when you're caught up in that kind of engagement and things are tough and all of that thing, what is holding you here? Sometimes what might be holding you is coming out. When we come to these professionals, chances are, at the end of the day, they're going to get you to come down to see things the way the other person is seeing, at the most basic level. And then you will go away happy thereafter. But what will have changed, more often than not, when all of you come, it's you who has changed, and she has changed, and you've been able to change to connect. So we need to think about that. So one, be reminded there are options. What you're seeing and is upsetting you is not the only thing there is to see. About 2 weeks ago, I was running a training for URA, and it was a communication skills training. And I kept telling them from a communications perspective, you have options. There is more. So don't say, I am communicating this way because I feel this way, there's more. Next day, bang, I am having an issue with my wife, and I'm challenged. So do you know what kept running through my mind? Fred, you have options. You have
the
options.
same thing you told.
Yes, I kept saying.
That was God's training.
You have options on how you respond. And so in that moment, because I was angry, I said, calm down, picture no sound for a moment, and then, I said, what options do I have? And then I brought,
Isn't it great the way reality, we then put into the space where we have to practice.
So it is one of those things that just reminded me, we have these things, we have options. And that helped me. And so come into the space, create safe space, but don't forget. I'm sure when you peel onions and all of these things, at the heart of this whole issue is a trust problem.
Yes.
I have seen people who you think, how do people live like that? You see them shouting, they shout and you're like, how can you guys live like that? But they trust each other so much that for them, while what you think could be a problem is not a problem, because they know we pour it out as it is, and there's a place of safety.
That's probably their way of dealing with it.
It is their way. While you who goes pole, your trust levels are not right, and you actually
very
have
fragile.
artificial harmony. So what we need, you can, when conflict isn't bad, it's just that you need to find the right space for it. Don't have artificial harmony where you
That's
can't
the
address
worst.
controversial things, difficult conversations, or don't have it as violent. So have it in a space where embrace it, because you're different, you see things differently, you have different personal stories and all of that. Yeah, you depends upon who grew you and where you grew
So
up.
synchronize.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So you're going to have that, but learn. And for me, that's one of my biggest takeaway. Learn, invest in learning.
Yes.
Invest in learning. 2, invest in fellowship. And when we talk about fellowship, sometimes it's about, hey, we go pray. Fellowship is about your collection of friends, mutual friends, shared values. You will get to realize that whatever problem you're encountering, others have encountered.
Yes.
It is
I like
not
what you said,
unique.
shared values.
Yes.
Shared values
So,
is important.
and let me tell you, it happens everywhere. People go to bars and they're talking. They're like, I'm trying to makuba. But they talk.
Yes.
And happen.
In other words, don't feel isolated. That's so
No.
key. You're saying we shouldn't isolate ourselves and
No.
feel this. The end for me.
And if you do that, it eases when you realize, you know what, there are some other people that have solved the issue that I'm struggling with, and others, and that helps you then to see things differently, and that will make your life easier.
That will make your life. So you had communication skills with URA. You trained them on how they should communicate to their clients, I hope. Change the way you're communicating and collecting taxes.
It was always that. It was all part of
No, thank you so much. That was really powerful, really important. Dr. Ivas. Dr. Ivas is writing her 10th book.
I'm learning.
I saw you writing and writing and writing.
I mean, talk
Especially
about
the
learning.
book titles.
I mean,
Yes.
really, I love it. I love it, and I know we are concluding this, but thank you, Fred and Babe, and this conversation is very important. But just maybe my concluding remarks is we cannot have a good relationship if we can't have difficult conversations.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I like that Fred you called it artificial
Harmony.
artificial harmony, which of course most people say for peace sake.
For peace's sake.
And I've told people that's not peace, it's fake. And so make sure that you check if in your relationship and in my relationship, all of us, you can't hold uncomfortable conversations. That's not a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Period. A good relationship is feeling based.
Yes.
So if you can't have conversations where you say, I feel like this, and you can be open and vulnerable, that's a very dangerous place to be. So let's try as much as possible to nurture a relationship environment that helps us to be vulnerable, because don't hold things back. If you hold things back, that's not healthy. Your body is producing stress hormones. That's not a good place, because there are so many people who are bottled up.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy. So if you want to have a healthy relationship, make sure you nurture, you foster an environment that allows you to talk and be listened to, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Very, very, very important. And as much as possible, also to ask Fred's brothers here to avoid being avoidant. Because again, that is happening because people are running away from uncomfortable conversations. Don't be avoidant. Go home and speak. Don't come home when your wife has already slept, and then you master that as a coping strategy. Because I've spoken to my brothers, so I'm not spilling your secrets, but I know sometimes this can seem like a coping mechanism. Don't live in a relationship where you're just coping. Don't. That's not nice. Because that means you're accumulating stress. You're accumulating stress, but you're covering it with some temporal relief. I go, I speak to the boys, we talk about nothing, come home, then find her sleeping, and then you sleep on the side. and then you take that as a coping mechanism. That doesn't work. A good relationship is where you confront issues. And I want to encourage people, you can confront issues without killing each other.
Yeah.
And that's the point I want to stop and ask each one of you, please be mindful about how you land your jet.
Yeah.
Make sure it's butter landing, not crash landing. Because you cannot have a relationship where each communication crushes you. Don't do that. Because, there are people who live like that. Yes. Every conversation, they just split each other up and kill each other and then start tomorrow. And then celebrate Silver Jubilee. And then, and then run another. Wow. But you don't have a relationship.
Yeah.
This relationship, I want to tell you, relationships are life.
Absolutely.
That's 90% of your life and health.
It is.
And so don't handle it aggressively or carelessly, and then every time you're breaking, you're repairing, breaking, repairing. No, we can actually work, we can employ grace, we can employ forgiveness. That's why God gave us all these tools.
Absolutely.
So let's try as much as possible to consider that whatever issue you're dealing with is not bigger than your relationship. Yeah. It's just a part of your relationship. So don't crush your relationship just because there's an issue to be handled. And God bless you.
God bless you too.
Bless you. Thank you.
I feel like I've been in a tough exam, and Dr. Evas and Fred were there to guide me on the answers because it's about relationships.
Absolutely.
You are going to encounter difficult conversations, or maybe you've had them. I'm sure that a lot of what has been shared today has guided you on how to resolve. I am sure, more than sure. Please follow up on the books that have been recommended and watch this episode again and again, because there are nuggets in there, real life situations that can help you. Anything can be resolved. Every relationship must be celebrated and enjoyed. And I'm sure you've enjoyed this and learned as much as I have. It was wonderful hosting you, wonderful to be here amongst these teachers and these people who have been chosen by the Lord to change your life. Fred, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Fred Javichaka. Dr. Evas, your words of wisdom are always so impactful. You always touch a part of my life that I have never thought about. And I have a lot to think about as well, going home to my own husband, children, my extended family, so much right now in this space. And I thank you so much for being so generous with what God has given you, with the world. God bless each of you. Reality check. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. You have something to say?
Yes. I just wanted one final word for me. We've had this conversation in the context largely of marriage and family. The things we have talked about are applicable in the different kinds of relationships. So this is not just about marriage, it's about relationships in the workplaces. You'll still go through the same process. Hold negative assumptions lightly before you punish the people, before you take it up on the people that you lead, and all of those things. Understand their stories, understand their personal story, understand where it is they're coming from. There's quite a bit. Understand their personalities, connect with them. They're individuals, they're different, they speak different languages, they process things differently. So what we are sharing, the knowledge we're sharing and things we're talking about are really life things. Take them beyond just the marriage and family space. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you too. Like, subscribe, share. Reality check at your office, in your homes, every Thursday, 10 a.m. Bye-bye. It's been wonderful. I'm Beverly Nambozo saying, God bless you abundantly.